Hello, everybody. Welcome into Fox 10 Talk Sports Pregame. Robby Baker here, and as you can see, all by myself today. Yes, our Blake Neiman, a very much deserved weekend off on vacation this weekend for Blake, spending some time with his family. So I'll be holding down the fort here for the next half hour. So if you are joining us in the chat, please feel free to comment because I'm so lonely in here today in the streaming studio. But we do have plenty to talk about, courtesy of the Sun Devils and the Arizona Cardinals. As usual, we will start with the Arizona State Sun Devils because on the field, the product has been good, right? Stringing together some wins. They've got themselves right back into the Big 12 kind of contention picture here. But some off-field stuff is what kind of garnered the bulk of the headlines this week, and that was regarding injured quarterback Sam Leavitt. Now, Sam has been injured for a number of weeks already. He had surgery to repair an injury that he suffered back against Baylor. Eventually, he had surgery a few weeks ago that ruled him out for the rest of the season. The reason I bring up Sam Leavitt's name, though, is I'm sure if you are a Sun Devil fan, you are aware at this point of the report from On3 and Pete Nakos earlier this week that basically said that Sam Leavitt's return to ASU in the future was kind of doubtful and that Sam would be potentially entering the transfer portal and exploring other opportunities at the end of this football season. That report was kind of immediately shot down by a member of Sam Leavitt's family, and Kenny Dillingham kind of threw some cold water on it as well in a sense. I'll kind of break down what my thoughts on all of this are, but even though Blake Neiman is not here today, he did provide us this report to kind of add some context to all of everything that was going on with Sam Leavitt's name in the news this week.
Yesterday morning, just before 9 a.m., a report came out that sent shockwaves to the Sun Devil sports world. Pete Nakos of the website On3 Sports published an article saying that ASU quarterback Sam Leavitt is, quote, doubtful to return to Arizona State next season, and that his camp is, quote, actively shopping him around to other high-level programs. Leavitt's older brother Dallin then quickly rebuked this report on his Instagram by sharing a text exchange he had with Nakos just moments before the article was released, where Nakos notifies Dallin Leavitt of his intentions of the article, to where he replies, quote, why would you do that? That's not where things are at right now. He's still deciding what he wants to do, end quote. Today, Kenny Dillingham was asked about his thoughts on the situation, and here's what he had to say.
Are you going to say anything about Sam Leavitt?
I'm focused on Colorado and trying to play our best football game we can possibly play this Saturday. This team still has so much to play for. We're in the hunt. It's November, and we're playing meaningful football with 2 games left. Through all the adversity this team has faced, like, our games matter with 2 games left. There's not many teams who take the field and their games matter with 2 games left. We're one of those teams. I'm focused on that.
Have you been able to speak with Sam since his surgery, see how he's doing?
Oh, yeah, he's doing great. I mean, on the road to recovery, we've had lots of conversations. I mean, Sam's my guy. I have a great relationship with Sam. Everything I've ever said about him is absolutely true.
Leavitt's recovery timeline to repair the Liz Frank ligament in his right foot is expected to range from 5 to 6 months or potentially even longer, depending on how fast his body heals. That will likely prevent him from being a full participant in spring practices, which could have a significant impact on his decision to remain at ASU or not. Reporting in Tempe, Blake Neiman, Fox 10 Sports.
We appreciate Blake for putting that together for us for the news, but also for the Fox 10 Talk Sports pregame stream. So I wonder if you are joining us on the YouTube stream right now. Let me know what you think in the chat about the Sam Leavitt's kind of name in the news this week. Here's what I've kind of thought about it, and Blake and I have talked about this a lot in the sports office the last couple of days since this report came out. To me, this is kind of the ultimate story about nothing in a sense. And this isn't a knock on On3 or Pete Nakos. Somebody talked to him and he felt comfortable reporting that information. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this is the nature of college sports nowadays. I mean, even if this report didn't come out, Blake and I have talked just candidly in the office of anybody on this ASU roster, anybody on any roster in college football is a free agent every single year. That's just the nature of the beast. And when you have a quarterback like Sam Leavitt, who things did not go as he would have hoped this year, partially because of injury, partially just because the team didn't have quite the level of success early on in the season maybe that Sun Devil fans had hoped. They've kind of rounded into form here in the last month or so. Sam Leavitt is not going to be in New York at the Heisman Trophy ceremony and lifting the Heisman Trophy like we thought potentially in the preseason, and that's for a myriad of reasons. But if you have a quarterback like that, yes, this is the nature of the beast. Teams and coaches, look how many jobs are open all over the country right now. Do you think any one of those coaches, any coach that's going to move to a big job, LSU, if Lane Kiffin moves there, then Ole Miss becomes open. Penn State's still open. There are big jobs open all over the country. You don't think a coach is going to want to get one of those jobs and make a big splash in the transfer portal? And ASU is doing everything they can in the NIL space, and they've done a very good job, as Kenny always talks about, activating the Valley and things of that nature. But there is also a sense of reality to this, that it is hard for ASU to compete with an Alabama or LSU or maybe even in Oregon or Michigan. I mean, there are certain brands in college football that once upon a time used to be a big pool because of their name and maybe the TV exposure and stuff, and now you get that plus millions and millions and millions of NIL dollar opportunities. And again, ASU has done a fantastic job. Think about last year. This ASU roster could have got poached last year. I mean, that was a dream season last year where the team goes all the way to the college football playoff, and there was an opportunity for this roster to kind of go up in smoke if, the way this all works nowadays, other schools come in and all these guys that had great breakout seasons decide to go elsewhere and cash in. That didn't happen. Sam Leavitt returned. Jordan Tyson returned. C.J. Fight came back. Justin Watley came back. Keith Abney came back. I mean, you could go down the roster. There's a reason that the Sun Devils were picked to win, the Big 12 and go back to the college football playoff this year. It's because they returned basically their entire roster from last year. I bring that up because that, if you're a Sun Devil fan, you got to feel good about what this team is doing and what Kenny Dillingham has built here and the sustainability of it, because they were able to retain all of the talent from last year's team, essentially, and carry that over into this year. So they are competitive in NIL. They are competitive in revenue sharing, and they continue to do upgrades. And the announcement of the announcement of trying to build an indoor football practice facility kind of attached to the stadium. I mean, this athletic department is, Kenny Dillingham talks about it, all in on football. This university is all in on football, and you can see it. But there is going to be times where being all in on football is going to maybe just be slightly different than an SEC school. And I don't think ASU fans would be, I don't think that's unfair to say that. The goal is to get ASU to continue to keep building so there isn't a little bit of a gap when it comes to that stuff. But if Sam Leavitt ultimately decides to enter the transfer portal, which again, I think if you even ask Sam Leavitt right now, I think what his brother Dallin said is true. I don't think Sam knows. I mean, I'm not reporting anything here, but he's a young kid dealing with a foot injury that he had surgery on about a month ago. The team he is still on still has a few games left in the season and a bowl opportunity ahead of them. I don't think Sam Leavitt knows. I don't think he's going. I doubt he's declaring for the NFL draft at this point with the injury and the kind of up and down season he had combined with the injuries. But I don't think Sam Leavitt knows if he's coming back to Tempe or not at this point. I think it's unfair for people to expect him to make a decision on November 21st, 2025. There's a lot of factors at play here. The one thing I think Sun Devil fans should think about in this whole conversation as well is Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo, the development the development track record of quarterbacks that they have had. And if this is the big capital italicized if here, if Sam Leavitt does decide to transfer and move on, I don't think it is, then, ASU football is in a tough spot. You're losing a potential Heisman quarterback. And look, Jaden Daniels transferred, goes to LSU, wins the Heisman Trophy, top 2 pick in the draft. It could happen with Sam Leavitt. But the next guy that comes into Tempe, there's a track record with Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo. Look what they've done with Jeff Sims here. Listen to what Marcus Arroyo had to say about Jeff Sims after one of the practices this week, and just how excited he has been to see Jeff Sims succeed in this offense and in this system in the last few weeks since Sam went down.
Be more excited about anybody, and I haven't been excited about someone than this long who's put that much work in their entire career to go out and at this stage have an opportunity when it's been called on to execute and do some of the stuff that he's done in the last couple of weeks has been fantastic. I mean, it hasn't been perfect. I don't expect it to be, but he's done a really nice job, man, of not flinching and going in and executing a game plan. A lot of stuff in the last couple weeks I think we can really hone in on and hopefully take advantage of, but couldn't happen to a better person at a better time. I think we've all said it, and you guys have been around long enough when he's been here, and for even when I've got here to recruit him and get him here is you're recruiting a character and a person first, and I think that's that never is something with our culture, with Kenny here at the program, we've ever put behind the player, the person first. And Jeff's an amazing human being who loves football, who loves his team. I think at the end of the day, when you've got players like that in your team, you just hope they can put themselves in position to be athletically in a position to win some games and display some stuff in front of their player, their family and friends and locker room. And Jeff's a perfect example.
So I play that soundbite to show you that obviously this coaching staff has shown a propensity in the last few weeks to adjust things to Jeff Sims' strengths. The first week, it was a lot of Jeff Sims running at Iowa State. He sets the school record for rushing yards in a game. The last week, the win over West Virginia was the opposite. It was a more pass-heavy attack. I believe 3 passing touchdowns for Jeff Sims, and it was getting the ball to the playmakers on the outside. This offense is adaptable. This coaching staff is adaptable, and whether it's a Cam Dyer who's there as a freshman this year, if it's a Jake Fetty who's coming in as a freshman next year, or if, again, the big if Sam Leavitt does transfer, you don't think there's going to be another quarterback in the transfer portal like a Sam Leavitt was a few years ago that's going to look at this situation in Tempe and say, well, darn, like, look what they've done for guys. Look at what he did for Bo Nix. Look what he did for guys at Florida State or Memphis, and all the track record of quarterbacks that were developed under Kenny Dillingham before getting to Tempe and then potentially turning Sam Leavitt into whatever Sam Leavitt turns out to be. You don't think there's going to be another transfer quarterback that's going to look at that and potentially say, well, I want to be a part of that. I want to be there in Tempe and learn and grow under Kenny Dillingham. This is such a different era of ASU football than the past, just because it feels so sustainable. As to years in the past, people always talk about the sleeping giant and, when's this thing going to finally get rolling? I think you really see now, the Activate the Valley and everything. We're kind of beyond that now. We are this feels like a sustainable period of success for ASU, where in this world of free agency and players moving in and out, this feels like every year this has a very good opportunity to be successful and compete at the top echelon of the Big 12, because look at what this football team has been through this year. Basically, the entire team has been out with injuries. Starting quarterback, star wide receiver, the starting running back coming into the year. Injuries all over the defense. Xavier Alford, one of the best players on the defense returning from last year, basically hasn't played a snap this year, and this team is still in position with some help to make it to the Big 12 championship game. So we'll talk some more ASU football, and we'll see a little bit about the Cardinals here, because who knows what's going to happen against the Jaguars. We'll be back in just a minute here. All right, we are back here, Fox 10 Talk Sports pregame. Hello, Dominique there in the chat, as you can see. All by my lonesome self today. Blake Neiman on a very deserved vacation with his family this weekend, so it's just me holding down the fort. So thank you, Dominique, for joining the chat, keeping me company here. We spent the first half of the program talking Sam Leavitt. Let's move on from that. Let's talk about what is coming up. We know for sure happening tomorrow night at Boulder, the Colorado Buffaloes, the Arizona State Sun Devils. The last kind of area of uncertainty in this game surrounds Jordan Tyson. This is what the guys at practice this week had to say about at least seeing Jordan Tyson on the field this week practicing for the first time since suffering that hamstring injury against Texas Tech.
It's always good to see, JT come to work every day. He want to be on the field bad. And everybody's supporting him, everybody got his back. So just seeing him try to get out there, it means the world to us.
What would it mean to have a guy like that back on the field for you?
I mean, he's a game changer. He's a great player. And hopefully he can get back on the field. But if not, he's a top 5 pick. He got to be healthy before he get back out there.
See him running around today. Obviously good. Jordan's been around each practice, each game, been here, involved every meeting. It's been day to day. To see him out there running around again in those donut cleats is always exciting. So again, day to day, and if he's ready to roll, we'll be ready. But again, that's on coach and on him, and obviously his health is at the first the forepoint of everything.
So Jordan Tyson officially listed as questionable for this game. We don't know for sure. We won't know. This may be the first true kind of game time decision for the Sun Devils in the last few games when it comes to injuries, because most of the injuries that the Sun Devil team has suffered this year has had to deal with this year has been guys that are injured and then they're just out for the year. Jordan Tyson has worked very hard to rehab this hamstring injury, and it would appear that there is a chance he could play. Questionable means he's not out. There's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. Now, the backstory to Jordan Tyson potentially wanting to get back for this Colorado game, you may remember a number of years ago, the same year Kenny Dillingham, the same cycle when Kenny Dillingham was hired by ASU, Colorado hired Deion Sanders. The clip went viral of Deion Sanders having the team meeting of basically telling the guys that were currently on that Colorado roster that Deion said he was bringing his Louis Vuitton luggage with him. He was going to be bringing guys in from the transfer portal, and if you wanted to leave, basically. Was kind of the gist of Deion's kind of initial, that video that went viral of one of his first meetings with the team. One of the guys that was on that team at the time was a gentleman by the name of Jordan Tyson, who ultimately entered the transfer portal, transferred to Tempe, and has become now the Jordan Tyson that we know and love here in the Valley. So I think there's a little bit of extra. If you ask Jordan, I'm sure he would downplay it, but somewhere deep down, there's a little extra juice, I would feel, for JT in this game, wanting to go back to Colorado, a place that he was, a place that the coaching staff did not feel maybe the same way that his current coaching staff does about him. So if JT is healthy enough to go, I would imagine he's going to want to put up some big numbers tomorrow against Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. It's also worth noting kind of what Jeff Sims alluded to in that soundbite. Everybody's got to think about a lot of things with Jordan Tyson here. It's a hamstring injury. It's a soft tissue injury. That's not a career-altering thing. But Jordan Tyson is probably going to be a top 5 pick. He's going to be the top wide receiver in the NFL draft next April. He could be one of the top picks, if not a top 5 pick at worst in the draft. I don't think that will factor into the decision for him to play or not, but I think he wants, it would behoove everybody involved for him to be as 100% healthy as possible, because even look at what Jalen Green and the Suns, these soft tissue injuries are tough. They're tricky, and you rehab, you feel good, you get back. Jalen Green played one phenomenal game with the Suns, and in the first quarter of his second game back, he re-aggravates the hamstring injury, and he's out now potentially 2 months as he rehabs the same hamstring injury again. So just something else to think about, depending on what Jordan Tyson's status is for tomorrow. But he seems to be a true game time decision here moving forward. Colorado, it's also worth noting that when you look at Jordan Tyson, despite basically playing only half the games this year that the Sun Devils have played because of various injuries, Jordan Tyson still ranks second in the Big 12 in receptions. He still ranks second in the Big 12 in touchdowns on the year, and he is just outside the top 10 in total yards for the season in the Big 12 with 628 yards receiving this year. And that's with only playing about half the games this season that ASU has been on the field. So if he could come back, that is a huge boost to this ASU offense. For this Colorado team that ASU will be facing, they are a mess. They are just an absolute mess right now. They've lost 3 straight. They lost to Utah 53-7. They lost to U of A 52-17. They lost a tight game to West Virginia 29-22. And then they had their bye week coming into this one with ASU. ASU on the opposite hand, they are red hot. Winners of 3 of their last 4, and obviously 2 straight wins with Jeff Sims at quarterback. All the prognosticators, the point spread, everything would lead you to believe that ASU should win this game. I also believe ASU should win this game. You look at the weather forecast as well. About 50 degrees at kickoff is the anticipation. You know, when this game gets announced at the beginning of the year, you think, oh, I've seen this story. I grew up here. I've watched ASU football my whole life. Going to a cold weather, whether it used to be Corvallis or Oregon or up at the Palouse in Pullman, Washington State. I've seen my fair share of games where ASU has gone places and they were, 10-point favorites, and it's snowy or wet and cold, and they just do not travel well historically to those games. This doesn't seem like you're going to have that adversity either. It'll be chilly, but they shouldn't have any elements to deal with. It should, knock on wood here, this should be a fairly simple, straightforward game for ASU. And for ASU fans, I hope that is the case, because I don't know how many more one-score final second games ASU fans' hearts are going to be able to sustain this season. Every game, it seems like, comes down to the final play in the final second, and they win them. They win most of them, so that's the silver lining here, but I don't think that'll be the case tomorrow. I'll predict 35-14. I really think ASU gets up early and just is in control of this game, because this Colorado team, they haven't been able to stop anybody. They've had a rotation at quarterback. They've never really established a starting quarterback this year, and this kind of feels maybe like it's the outside, or from the outside looking in, it kind of feels like this may be the end, or we're approaching the end of the Deion Sanders era there. They flew, flew high, with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, but he was not able with his transfer portal strategy to rebuild that roster after losing his two major stars from last year. So I predict a big win for the Sun Devils on Saturday night, coming up tomorrow, and that would then lead us into the Territorial Cup next Friday, a game you'll be able to watch on Fox 10. We'll have live pregame coverage on the field starting at 6:30, and we'll have live coverage postgame as well. I bring all that up because ASU officially announced today that next Friday's game is sold out. That now means, as we talked about activating the Valley and creating a sustainable football product here in the Valley, every home game for Arizona State football this season has been sold out. Every single game, from NAU now through the Territorial Cup. That is incredible. So, shout out to the fan base here for what they have done supporting this football team through what has been kind of a roller coaster at times season, but we are looking at a Territorial Cup with potentially two 8-3 football teams coming into this game. This could be a top 25 battle in the Territorial Cup. I can't remember the last time. The Territorial Cup always has juice, right? But I cannot remember the last time a Territorial Cup had teams of that caliber on both sides. It seems like usually one team is a little higher than the other. One's trying to play spoiler, like last year, for example, when ASU ended up winning and going to the Big 12 championship game. U of A was kind of on the decline. But we have the potential for one of the best Territorial Cups in recent memory coming down the pipe here in about a week and a half once we get through Thanksgiving. So that's where ASU stands right now. Let's talk quickly about the Cardinals. They welcome the Jacksonville Jaguars into State Farm Stadium on Sunday. I'll just read you the injury report real quick for the Cardinals. Kelvin Beechin, the offensive lineman, is questionable. Baron Browning, the outside linebacker, out. Running back Mari DiMercato, out. Marvin Harrison Jr., out. Offensive lineman Will Hernandez, questionable. Will Johnson, the second-round pick cornerback, questionable, still dealing with the hip injury and back injury. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, out. Trey Benson, the running back, they did activate him off of IR. They opened his practice window this week. He is still out for this game, though. He's not ready to play. It looks like Bam Knight is going to be back, which would be good. But Darius Robinson, Garrett Williams, also questionable. The injuries continue to stack up for this Cardinals team, and look, this is a Jacksonville Jaguars team that they're not. They're winning the Super Bowl this year? Probably not. But they are 6-4. They've beaten the Chiefs this year. They've been up and down, but they've obviously won more than they've lost. They're 6-4. And this Cardinals team, for various reasons, they are a mess right now. So I think if you the two things for Cardinals fans to kind of think about in this game on Sunday is you want to see again what Jacoby Brissett can do in this offense. Can Michael Wilson improve on what he probably can't improve on, basically 500 yards receiving in a single game, but is that sustainable? Is Michael Wilson a true threat as a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 moving forward, or is that something you need to address in the offseason? I would say those are probably the two main things to keep an eye on if you're a Cardinals fan. Also, defensively, the beginning of the year, the defense was so stout and so tough to play against. Granted, there's been a ton of injuries, but the last few weeks they've given up 85 points in the last 2 weeks, the Cardinals defense, and that's not sustainable either. So let's see if any facet of this football team, even the special teams unit, if even one facet, one area of this team can be a shining light coming out of this game, we'll see. Because after that, it's at Tampa Bay, home for the Rams, at the Texans, home for the Falcons, at the Bengals, at the Rams. Joe Burrow, it would appear like he will be back for that Week 16 game at the end of the year for the Bengals. The Falcons, other than the Jaguars, if you look at this schedule, what's left, the Falcons may be the only other game you look at this schedule and you say, oh, that's a winnable game for the Cardinals. I mean, I don't like to be the Debbie Downer here, but there is a very real possibility this Cardinals team ends with 3 or 4 wins in totality on the season with what is coming up left for them. And they also have to go on the road 1, 2, 3, 4 times in their final 6 weeks of the season too. So it's tough right now for the Cardinals. It's starting to, we've already entered mock draft season and what the future could hold. The biggest things for the Cardinals right now is where does Kyler Murray play next year, and what does the front office and the coaching staff look like? That is kind of where things are at, unfortunately, for the Arizona Cardinals right now. But they still got to lace them up. They got to play again on Sunday. We'll see against a Jacksonville Jaguars team. Like I said, they're not the best team in the NFL, but they are more than capable of winning on any given Sunday. And they will be without Brian Thomas Jr. I'm just looking up their star wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., has been ruled out for this game. And Travis Hunter has been ruled out for a while, too. He had a knee injury. So some tough injury breaks. Every team is dealing with injuries at this point of the year, right? But perhaps no more than the Arizona Cardinals at key positions. So I will predict a Jaguars win. I'll say 28-21. I think it'll be close, maybe a little higher scoring, but I do think the Jaguars get the win, and unfortunately the downward spiral, I believe, will kind of continue for the Arizona Cardinals. But before we get to the Cardinals game, we got ASU tomorrow night, ASU Colorado, 6 o'clock kickoff, and we'll have coverage once the game is done on Fox 10 News later tomorrow night. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We will see you here again.